Rebellion ignites. Mira Rael, once a tool of entertainment for a cruel alien empire, becomes the spark of a revolution. She's no longer a lone survivor. She's a leader, and the Apex arena is no longer a cage. It's a proving ground for war. The chains they couldn't break. The cage was clean, sterile, seamless, quiet. That was the first warning sign. Mira Rael had been in hundreds of cells, rusted bunkers, bloody holding pens, battle-worn prep rooms where screams echoed for hours. But this place? It was silent. Engineered silence. She stood barefoot on the floor of white alloy, arms locked in a cross-restraint. Her breath fogged faintly in the cold air. No guards, no windows, just an embedded speaker humming with anticipation. "You're not in the Apex arena anymore," a voice finally said. Male. Precise. "You're in the furnace. A place where broken champions are reforged or discarded." Mira didn't flinch. That's a fancy way of saying prison. Not a prison. A tool. You're valuable, Mira. You've sparked chaos. Loyalty. Fear. You can still serve the Galdron Order. The lights dimmed. A screen slid from the ceiling. Footage rolled. Her victories, her speeches, the moment she knelt beside a fallen ally and chose mercy over spectacle. Then images twisted, edited, rewritten. They had made her a villain in her own story. "We will reshape you," the voice said. "You will thank us." The first week was pure psychological warfare. Sleep was rationed to 15-minute increments. Food was drugged. Enough to keep her moving, never enough to dull her mind. The walls played looping voices, her own, distorted to sound like a traitor. Each morning, she woke up to a different simulated betrayal. One day, the simulation showed her betraying the Vatari. The next, the Legion surrendering because of her. By day 6, her fingernails had torn from scraping the wall seams. Not from fear, from counting, marking time, proving to herself that they didn't control her memory. On day 10, they introduced the reorientation chamber, a room of glass and gravity shifts. Dozens of other prisoners were locked inside, most non-human. Champions she vaguely recognized. Broken now, eyes hollow, limbs scarred with failed augmentations. Many didn't speak. One did. A tall, four-armed relax with a cracked exoplating chest. "You're the human," he rasped. "You shouldn't be here." "I won the Apex," Mira said. "Exactly." He introduced himself as Karen, once a general in the Vortari campaigns, now reduced to cleaning waste ducts and serving as a failed example of retraining. "How long have you been here?" she asked him. He looked up at the ceiling. "I stopped counting after the 4th winter." Each day, they walked the chamber, navigating disorientation fields, ordered to compete in tasks designed to turn them against each other. Ration grabs, power tests, betrayal drills. Mira refused. She shared her rations. She steadied others when the gravity warped. When the Galdron instructors punished her, she endured it with a steady gaze and locked jaw. At night, Mira whispered stories. Not of war, but of Earth, of stars viewed from oceans, of music, of families who fought just to survive another day. Some cried, some laughed bitterly, but they listened. On day 15, Mira faced her first formal trial in the furnace, a neural sync sim designed to bend her into obedience. They strapped her into the harness and poured a simulation directly into her brain, forcing her to relive her worst moments on a loop. Her mother dying in a dome collapse. Her first kill, watching allies fall again and again. But Mira did something they didn't expect. She spoke to the sim. "You think these memories will break me?" she whispered, blood dripping from her nose. "They made me." She fought it, not with rage, not with defiance, with truth. "I was alone. I adapted. I was enslaved. I endured. You turned me into a weapon. Now I choose what I aim at." The simulation cracked. Her neural pulse spiked beyond Galdron's safety limits. The machine screamed and shorted out. She passed out with a smile on her face. When she awoke, Karen was beside her. He held a strip of cloth torn from his own jumpsuit. "A bandage. They're afraid of you now," he said. "I saw the guards. Shaking. They should be." He looked around. "There are more like me. Like us, if you gave a word. Mira sat up slowly. I'm not here to escape, she said. Not yet. Karen frowned. Then why? I'm here to wake the sleepers. The legend had not died. It had simply gone underground. And in the cold belly of the furnace, Mira Rael was building fire. The fire beneath the furnace. It began with a flicker, a power surge, brief, almost imperceptible. But Mira noticed. Every inmate did. The hum of the restraint fields hiccuped just for half a breath, and then resumed. To most, it was a glitch. To Mira, it was a signal. She glanced at Karen from across the reorientation chamber. He gave a faint nod. Phase 1 had worked. Their stolen grav core had been rigged to create a minor overload in the primary circuit. Nothing strong enough to trip alarms. Just enough to whisper a truth. We can crack this place. In the weeks since Mira shattered the neural reconditioning sim, her status shifted. The guards watched her more closely, but didn't engage unless necessary. The instructors stopped speaking directly to her. And the other prisoners? They leaned in when she walked by. They spoke her name like a spark passed between hands. She never gave speeches, never shouted for rebellion. She just taught how to fight gravity shifts, how to decode the shock-tile pulses in the floor, how to reroute cooling fluid through a stim pack to create a rudimentary explosive. They learned, not because they were told to, because they had hope again. The breakout began during a prisoner transfer. 40 inmates were chained in a dual-carrier skiff bound for an off-world mining asteroid. Officially, a relocation. Unofficially, a purge. Mira sat between Karen and a silent, cat-eyed oh-sorry woman named Vera. The ship's interior was sterile. No metal edges, nothing sharp. 2 guards stood at either end. Mira's wrists were magnetically locked to the seat. Her feet bound. Perfect. She looked at Karen. He mouthed one word now. Mira screamed, not from pain, but from memory. The scream she used when she faked a tendon snap in the Apex arena. The one that drew in predators. Both guards moved. Vera struck first, jaw dislocated, then reset as her inner mandibles shot forward, slashing the nearest guard's thigh. Karen surged up, using his reinforced arms to snap the magnetic brace off his seat. Mira didn't hesitate. She yanked the stim syringe from beneath her tongue and jammed it into the base of her neck. Pain flared, then clarity. 5 seconds. She twisted her cuffs free with enhanced speed, slammed her knee into the second guard's chest, and grabbed his drop key. 4 seconds. Unlatched the emergency panel. Pulled the grav core regulator. 3 seconds. The ship bucked, lights strobing red. Inmates screamed. Doors jammed. 2 seconds. Mira dropped the core beneath her seat, where it began to overheat. 1. The blast cracked the floor open. The skiff crashed into the upper atmosphere of a forbidden moon, Class 9 uninhabited. The ship tumbled end over end before slamming into frozen soil. Fires erupted across the wreck. Mira woke in smoke. Her ribs burned. Blood matted her forehead. But she was alive. All around her, prisoners pulled themselves from the wreckage. Vera limped forward, eyes already scanning the horizon. Karen coughed and groaned beside her. Still with me? Mira asked. Barely, he rasped. But that was beautiful. More survivors trickled in. 23 in total. Fewer than hoped. But more than Mira feared. This moon isn't on Galdron comm nets, Vera said. But it's got old Dominion relay towers. I can tap in. Mira nodded. Do it. They didn't need a call for rescue. They needed a call for war. That night, as the cold winds howled and the survivors built crude shelters from skiff wreckage, Mira stood before them. The firelight licked at the bruises on her face. Her voice was quiet, but every eye was on her. They thought the furnace would burn us into obedience, she said. They thought silence would bury our names. She pointed skyward, but they made a mistake. They left us alive. A murmur rippled through the group. Mira stepped forward. We are not Apex champions. We are not prisoners. We are not ghosts. We are Legion, born in chains, forged in fire. She looked each of them in the eyes. They will hear us again, and this time they'll listen. Back inside the relay tower, Vera launched the signal. Shortwave bursts across dormant Dominion satellites. bouncing through systems the Galdron thought were dead. A simple message. The queen walks free. The furnace has broken. The fire spreads. Across outlaw worlds, in hidden domes, in rusted barracks where forgotten fighters scraped by, the message reached its mark. Some wept. Some laughed. All remembered the girl who ruled the Apex arena with no armor and no fear. And they began to move. Legion of the Broken. They came in ones and twos at first. A battered shuttle limping out of hyperspace, hull scorched, fuel leaking. A cloaked transport that landed under the cover of Eclipse. A cargo freighter whose crew went missing, only to return days later, speaking Mira Rael's name like a secret prayer. Within weeks, the moon, once a forgotten graveyard of pre-Dominion wars, became alive with the rumble of arrivals. Mira watched it unfold from atop a broken turret. The winds howled around her, whipping her cloak like smoke. Below, tents rose from scrap. Fires burned. People gathered. Not just humans. Not just warriors. Survivors. Karen stood beside her, arms crossed. "You've done it," he said, voice tinged with awe. "You turned ghosts into an army." Mira shook her head. "Not an army. Not yet." He gave her a sideways look. "You doubt them." "I don't doubt them," she said. "I doubt that we've earned their future yet. They came here to follow a myth. I need to make sure they see the person behind it and still choose to fight." In the days that followed, Mira moved through the growing camp. Not as a commander barking orders, but as a listener. She helped an aging Telon soldier repair his breathing rig. She shared rations with a child who'd stowed away from a mining freighter to find the arena queen. She trained with others at dusk, sparring in the snow until her arms trembled and her scars reopened. Each day, more arrived. Vera managed their communications. Karen oversaw structure and defense. But Mira? Mira gave the people their meaning. Not through speeches, but by enduring with them. The Galdron Empire finally took notice. A supply route in the Juro sector was bombed. A listening post in low orbit over Nati vanished in static. And then, an entire command ship, the Fulcrum, was lured into a false rendezvous and crashed into a hijacked asteroid, its hull crumpling like paper. They tried to suppress it, but whispers spread across every port, every bar, every black site prison. The furnace didn't kill her. It made her sharper. Mira Rael walks again, and she's not alone. The first official retaliation came swift and brutal. An orbital strike leveled the northern ridge of the moon. 6 dead, dozens injured. A warning. Mira pulled the bodies from the ash herself. She sat with the wounded. She didn't speak for 3 days. And when she finally stood before the survivors, she said just one thing. "We're not waiting anymore." Their next strike hit a logistics outpost on Selvern Prime. Mira's Legion used hacked codes and smuggled uniforms to breach security. They moved like shadows through the corridors, overriding systems, disabling defenses, locking guards in their own armories. Then they broadcasted a message on the station's interstellar feed. "This was never about revenge. This is reclamation. You don't own us anymore." They left the station burning, but spared the non-combatants. That mattered. Mira's war was not for death. It was for choice. In secret, Mira met with alien resistance cells long thought extinct, the fractured remnants of the Ura clans, the silent Sakari who spoke in flashes of color, and even former Galdron engineers who defected after watching friends die in the arena. She offered no promises, just the chance to fight for something that wasn't controlled by fear. Some called her naive. Most called her the only leader they trusted. One night, as snow fell over the camp, Mira sat alone beside the fire. Karen approached and lowered himself with a grunt. "You keep staring at the sky," he said. "Looking for something?" Mira didn't answer immediately. Finally, she said, "I'm waiting to see if the stars change." He frowned. "You think you're changing the galaxy that much?" "No," she said softly. "I think we are." She turned to him. "And if we can get to the arena again, take it back, make them see what we've become, we won't just be a thorn in their side anymore. We'll be the beginning of their end." By now, there were nearly 1,000 in the Legion, many trained in new tactics, blending arena instinct with guerrilla warfare. Some became medics, others engineers. They weren't a formal army. They were something worse. An idea, an infection in the heart of empire. From the highest towers of the Galdron elite, a single directive was broadcast across the systems. Mira Rael is to be executed on sight. No trial, no capture, no hesitation. To which Mira replied, with fire in her gaze and blood on her boots. Let them try. Her throne was never meant to shine. The apex arena loomed ahead. Mira stood in the open belly of the dropped transport, wind snarling around her. The lights of the arena station glittered in the darkness like false stars, cold, engineered, merciless. The same place they had thrown her into like a joke, where she had risen. Now she returned, not as a contestant, not as a survivor, but as a reckoning. Below, the arena was hosting its first planetary-wide broadcast since Mira's death. A new champion was set to be crowned. The Galdron wanted to remind the systems of their control, but tonight they would remember something else. Her name. Countdown in 90 seconds. Vera's voice crackled over the comms. Scramblers deployed. They won't know where you're landing. Mira tightened the straps across her chest. Her armor was matte black and scorched from a dozen firefights. The sigil across her shoulder was simple, a broken crown. Behind her stood Karen, Vera, and a core strike team of 25. Veterans, rebels, ghosts. She turned to them. Once we hit, we split, she ordered. North teams breach power and security. West targets comm towers. I'll take the stage. You always did love theatrics, Karen muttered, grinning. Mira gave a wry smile. Only when it counts. They dropped like meteors. The transport's hull broke atmosphere, screaming through the air. At the last second, retro thrusters flared and scattered fire across the arena dome. People screamed. Cameras tilted. The new champion froze mid-bow as the sky itself cracked open. Mira landed in the center circle, boots shattering the glossy platform. She stood slowly, and the arena remembered. The crowd stared in silence, unsure if it was a ghost or a warning. A Galdron announcer stammered, "This event is under control." Mira drew her blade and ignited it. A clean, violent hum split the air. "No," she said, voice carried by the hacked comm grid. "You lost control the moment you made me." Explosions lit the upper tiers as her strike teams engaged. Vera took the eastern tower. Karen led the sweep through the armory. The security bots deployed, but their protocols had been corrupted by Mira's backdoor weeks ago. She'd planned for this, not just to survive it, but to own it. Arena champions rose from their platforms, ordered to subdue her. But most hesitated. One, a Drex veteran named O.L. Tuck, fell to his knees. "You were right," he rasped. "This place made monsters." Mira helped him to his feet. "Then let's make it human again." The broadcast was still live. Every system tuned in expecting a coronation. They got a revolution. Mira stood center stage as the final wave of Galdron troops entered from the upper platforms, weapons raised. "This is your queen?" A commander sneered. "A rogue with a broken army?" Mira raised her voice, calm and clear. "I never asked to be queen. You made me one the moment you threw me in this pit and expected me to die." She pointed her blade at the nearest camera drone. "You turned pain into entertainment, grief into ratings. You crowned your cruelty in gold." The crowd watched, silent, tense. "But I learned something in the fire you fed me to." She stepped forward. "A throne is not forged by applause, not carved by empire. A throne is whatever I choose to stand on. And right now, I choose to stand here." She opened her arms, blood on her knuckles, pride in her voice. "This is your apex now. Not a game, not a show, a call." She lifted her blade. "To all the broken, to all the chained, to everyone who thought they were too small to matter, we matter now." Behind her, every screen across the arena lit up with the same image, her symbol, the broken crown. The final clash was swift. Mira's team overran the last Galdron officers. Drones fell. Guards surrendered. By morning, the arena was theirs. She didn't execute a single soul. Instead, she opened the gates. Let prisoners walk free. Let civilians see the truth for themselves. Later, alone in the control room, Mira sat in the same seat where Galdron elites once watched people die for sport. She looked around, at the empty luxury, the falseness of it all. Karen entered, a datapad in hand. You've got 30 systems pinging you now. Some want alliances. Others want you to lead. I'm not a ruler, she muttered. No, but you're the reason they still believe there's something to fight for. She exhaled. The arena's ours. Karen looked out the window. So what do we do with it? Mira stood. We use it. We train. We build. We send a message. She pressed a button. All across the galaxy, every Apex broadcast hub blinked to life. And her voice rang out. You made me a fighter. You try to make me a weapon. Now I'm building a world you'll never control. This is no longer your arena. It's ours. And far, far away, across border worlds and ruined colonies, children looked up and dared to dream again.